evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
There are many students waiting for their visa applications. Like, the files are just in bulk. They are just piling up and piling up.
The cyclists were invited to give some feedback on what would help them bike to work and commute and feel more safe. So there was a lot of feedback for the city.
See those wheels moving there? So that right there is your numbers. So like there's an opening, right? Now we go the opposite way.
Thanks for joining us. International students looking to study in Windsor say they're waiting months for their visa approvals, and it's putting their education and lives on hold. They're caught in Canada's immigration backlog that's affecting millions. The CBC's Katie Fraser has more.
I've been speaking to students in India who want to come to St. Clair College here in Windsor to study. They've already been accepted to the school and their programs, but they say it's taking months for the Canadian government to approve their study permits. That's something they need to come here to Canada.
I have no words to express my feeling. I can't even tell. You can see we are suffering financially, and there is a emotional damage also, because we have invested our emotions as well as our money in the course so that we can get the education. But they are not responding our mails, the forms. We are thinking that if they give our decisions, like we have to do something in future also. But now we are just stuck.
Kaur was supposed to be here in September. She's one of millions of immigrants affected by the Canadian government's immigration backlog. They just can't keep up with the applications coming in.
Really, I call it the perfect storm, because you have, over the past couple of years, you've had massive record intakes of applications, combined with COVID and the pandemic-related decrease in output. You have federal government employees working from home, some not working from home, many on leave. And so productivity has never been lower, and intake has never been higher.
Right now, the government is prioritizing refugees from Ukraine and Afghanistan. That's leaving students really stuck.
Signed up for business marketing, as I operate my business with it's my family business. We do business of pre-owned premium cars in India. So I decided to participate so that I can learn more about marketing and how to make my business grow. So I never thought I'd waste so much of time to, just reach Canada. It's been so long. It's been 6 months, and I feel sometimes like it's a complete waste.
Both the students were able to complete one semester of courses so far. That's because St. Clair was doing online learning due to the pandemic. But now they're not sure they'll be able to make it to Canada in time if these visas aren't approved. The school does say that it'll completely reimburse any of the international students who don't get their visas approved, but both the students say they've already put in a lot of time. Katie Fraser, CBC News, Windsor.
Cyclists in Windsor want the city to do more to embrace biking. Today is National Bike to Work Day. So our Jacob Barker set out to find out what changes two-wheeled advocates would like to see made on Windsor roads.
This isn't the friendliest stretch of road in the city. It's at this point along Wyandotte Street, the bike lane just runs out. So I've gotten to the end of the bike lane, about a block back here on Wyandotte. And as you're coming up on the viaduct, it puts you in very close proximity if you're to stay on the roadway with traffic. This is one of the points on the road that cycling advocates would like to see changed. Eventually, they would like to see a separated bike lane going through, but yeah, it does put you in very close proximity with traffic when you're going through here.
People need to go to the shops on Wyandotte Street.
It's an area of concern for Laurie Newton, Executive Director of Bike Windsor Essex.
It's pretty scary, and people are doing it because they don't have an option. There's no other place for them to go. The option is to go up to Seminole Street and take a multi-kilometer roundabout, and cyclists don't want to do that.
The area is one that's being examined by the city to make it safer for everyone to pass through.
Cyclists, pedestrians, motorists as well, who all have a right to that public right of way.
way. So we're trying to figure out through the public consultation process how we can sort of look at that space and make sure that we're able to accommodate all of the road users in a safe way.
The city has been looking at ways to make upgrades. Changes are already coming to University Avenue over the next few years. It will become home to Windsor's first separated bike lanes. The Cabana Road upgrades also include putting in bike lanes from Howard to Huron Line.
We're making some very substantial investments in improving the active transportation network across the entire community.
These cyclists just got their new wheels today. They both want to see changes, not just in the infrastructure.
I think absolutely you need to add more bike lanes. You know, it's such a car-centric city. You don't feel safe on a lot of the main roads.
But also in the way drivers act.
I feel like even just like, I don't know, like PSAs or like education for people, because I feel like a lot of, especially people who regularly drive, don't know all the bike like signals or laws and everything.
Changes in roads and mines to make getting around safer for everyone. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
In the provincial election campaign, the main parties are all using the cost of driving and gas prices to try and win votes. Today, the NDP said they'd regulate the price of gas. Unlike the PCs and Liberals, they're promising a tax cut on gas. Lorenda Redekop has more.
My team is really the only team in Ontario that's prepared to take on big oil.
Andrea Horvath says an NDP government would tackle gas prices by having the Ontario Energy Board set the maximum price each week based on the markets.
We can regulate the gas prices. We can put a cap on those gas prices. We can stop the gouging.
It's not a new NDP policy.
I've heard that commitment from the NDP, I think, from the last 2 or maybe 3 election campaigns. We know in parts of Canada, like for example in the East Coast, they have tried efforts to regulate gas prices. It doesn't actually work.
The NDP disagrees, pointing to U.S. politicians fighting for the same policy. The Liberals are backing the PC plan to cut the gas tax by 5.7 cents a litre for 6 months, and reminding people of Doug Ford's promise 4 years ago and his warning that a vote for the other parties would equal $2 gas prices. The PCs are also looking back to 2018, attempting to bring back another issue, the federal carbon tax.
I asked the question to the 3 other leaders, are you for the carbon tax? The answer is yes, they're for the carbon tax. You can't say you're for lower gas prices and in favor of the carbon tax.
But taxpayers also get a rebate for the carbon tax, and it's only added in Ontario due to the last PC government removing a measure to cap greenhouse gas emissions. The Green Party's focus is moving away from needing gas, offering rebates on electric vehicles and adding more charging stations. This all comes following an unusual occurrence ahead of a long weekend. Gas prices actually went down. So could this issue sway how people vote?
It's like we're going to keep bus prices fixed for 2 years. We're going to do this for 6 months. And it's like we need an actual sustainable long-term plan.
But he's also not sure about the NDP's idea to regulate prices. This driver is.
I agree 100%. Yeah, it's insane. Gas prices are way too high right now.
With advance polls now open, this long weekend is seen as a time when voters start talking about the election more, possibly deciding how they'll mark their ballot. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
A new report is looking at the last 4 years of climate policy under the PC government and bringing questions about the environment to the campaign trail. Lisa Shing reports.
Transportation is the single biggest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Ontario, yet PC leader Doug Ford is campaigning on building highways.
A re-elected PC government will say yes to building a new and expanded Garden City Skyway Bridge over the Welland Canal.
This government has been openly hostile.
These promises and the protections the PCs dismantled when they took power are why Environmental Defence released a report today. They're reminding voters the Progressive Conservatives cancelled cap and trade, which led to clean energy programs being cancelled, like upgrades to hospitals and schools. They also scrapped hundreds of renewable energy projects and electric vehicle rebates. And their environmental plan, tabled 4 years ago, hasn't been implemented.
They've been hostile towards endangered species, hostile towards protecting wetlands and natural spaces.
What do other researchers think?
This really is probably the worst environmental record of any government in Ontario in the post-World War II era.
Climate policy has not been at the forefront over the past 4 years. And in fact, there have been some significant rollbacks.
When asked about his record, PC leader Doug Ford said,
We took a different strategy. We're investing billions of dollars into people, into long-term jobs.
that strategy includes helping factories produce cleaner steel and investing in EV battery manufacturing. But this York University professor says that's not good enough.
These are good things, but in and of themselves, they are not going to get us anywhere near where we need to be on greenhouse gases.
The Liberals, NDP, and Greens have largely similar goals to each other for reducing emissions. They're also offering home retrofit programs and EV rebates. Now, environmental advocates say voters need to choose wisely because the next few years are critical. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
It is time for Voters Corner. Today, more on healthcare. I spoke with a woman living in Wheatley. She's battling stage 4 cancer and says action to improve hospitals is pivotal.
In a general sense, I think services are really poorly integrated at the moment. I don't think the LINs, the community action centers or whatever, I think they're not communicating well with the hospitals, and the hospitals aren't communicating well amongst themselves, and the regional boundaries don't always follow a logic. I think there's a lot of inefficiencies lost, and it's ripe for a really big shakeup, I think the PC party is failed us terribly during COVID. I think there was a big failure of leadership when it came to taking masking seriously and taking sciences seriously. There's more of a cultural change that needs to be addressed too, and I'm not sure who's best placed to address that.
I also spoke with a Windsor woman passionate about improving the long-term care system after witnessing a loved one's experience in a home.
My ex-mother-in-law was in an assisted living residence here. And the elevators, 2 elevators, the majority of the people are wheelchair bound. And only 1 elevator working at a time. And it'd be for 6 months, and then they'd get this one working and the other one would be down for 6 months. People were just basically secluded in their rooms. The quality of care, I would be up there almost every day. And then finally, even despite the fact that my husband and I had split, I finally took her out of there. And she lived the last year of her life in my home. Our elderly people deserve to be treated with dignity, and they're just not.
Canada Border Services Agency says it is reopening its small vessel reporting sites, which were closed during the pandemic. These sites are where boaters entering Canada can call CBSA and make declarations. It is a relief for boaters. In the Windsor, Essex, and Sarnia-Lambton area, only 3 of the sites remained open during the pandemic, and it meant long and costly trips to find a CBSA site. Starting tomorrow, more than 40 sites will be in operation. The case of the mysterious locked safe has been cracked. We told you last night about the box found in an antique shop wall in Harrow, belonging to a relative of former Prime Minister Paul Martin. Dale Molnar was on hand to find out what's in the box.
The hole happens to be in a really ideal spot where I can reach the lock from the inside and knock out what's blocking the door from opening. When I turn this, you're going to see those wheels move. Do you see those?
Using a special scope camera, safe and vault technician Todd Sundell was able to look inside the safe mechanism through a hole that had already been drilled sometime in the past.
I'm going to scope that out and see where I'm hitting, because the angle's a little off.
The people at Gagnon Demolition and Salvage who found the safe in the walls of the old antique store all gathered around, anticipation mounted. Could there be something historic inside? Money? Never before seen pictures? After about an hour of more drilling, scoping, and deciphering the combination, the moment of truth arrived.
There we go. What do we got in here, guys? Looks pretty empty. There's a piece of wood. There's my scope.
Gold coins? That's exactly it.
It's empty.
So there's nothing in there.
Well, what do you think, Kathy?
I'm glad it's open. Kind of wish there was something in there for the history people, but it's air. That's it.
I don't see that this safe doesn't have value or memory. Like, although there's no money and although there's no documents that we could provide, it's still a great piece of history.
The safe once belonged to T.B. Adams, a general store owner in Harrow. His great-great-niece was hoping there was something inside.
There was nothing in the safe.
Aw, really? Not even air?
Just air.
That's disappointing.
The couple who plan to redevelop the antique store site into offices and apartments want to buy the safe.
Make a lovely bar. It would probably also make a great, display case for whatever kinds of things you want to put in it.
The communications person for Paul Martin says his family members have been inquiring about the safe but haven't made any firm offers. Paul Martin has not yet been made aware of the find. He is overseas. Schmorantz says they are willing to cooperate with his family. Lise Jolie will be happy to see it go to a good home.
Well, if it's still usable, I'd like to see it used. Maybe cleaned up a little bit, leave the name on it, and make sure that T.B. Adams' descendants know that it's there.
Dale Molnar, CBC News, McGregor.
After 4 decades in business, the owners of a popular Windsor Greek restaurant are calling it a career. Over its run, Thanasi's Greek restaurant on Tecumseh Road East likely serviced up to they serviced millions of kebabs. Earlier today, the CBC's Ash Deschetti stopped by for one last look inside before the doors close for good.
We introduced Greek food to Windsor in 1981. At the time, there was only maybe 1 or 2 places that served things like gyro, souvlaki, which is pretty well the hamburger and hot dog of Greek cuisine. We opened in Gladeview Plaza in 1981 with 65 seats, introducing things like moussaka, pasticcio, beef cocchinisto. It's probably Greek to you, but these are all really traditional Greek food. And then in 1988, we were able to buy the Italia restaurant, which had been abandoned for about 3 years at that point, which is this. Spend a lot of time, love, and money converting it into looking like it does now. And I think, without being vain, we have the most beautiful restaurant in Canada. I mean, we got statues, we got fountains. Every little child that comes in here will get a coin to throw in our fountain and make a wish.
How does it feel to close?
It makes me sad yet happy. If you could see some of the notes, messages, texts, people coming in, we can't even answer our phone anymore. That's how busy you are. So what people are doing is they're actually driving here to come in and say goodbye to us. The most difficult part will be saying goodbye to my staff. We have a huge bash planned for Sunday, staff only, and there'll be a lot of tears. I've barbecued over 1.8 million chicken shish kebabs, what they call the perfect lunch or the perfect dinner. 41 years in a hot kitchen takes a lot out of you. Who would have thought when we opened that modest little restaurant in Forest Glade in 1981 that we would outlast epic restaurants like TBQ, Tano Barbecue did, TBQ other place, Franco, Italia, all these places are closed.
Definitely an emotional closure there. Wish them all the best. A live look outside. We have a special weather statement in effect because it is hot. Temperatures are reaching 31 degrees today and only dipping down to 21 overnight. Nick Cirkovich will be here after the break with more. Nick Sirkovich is here now for a look at our weather forecast. Nick, I was planning on going for a run after work, but I think I might need to cancel it because I think it's really hot outside right now.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're just not used to this kind of heat just yet. No, you're right. You mentioned the special weather statement in effect for the Windsor area, and that is because of the heat. Now, it's the heat during the day, but it's also the heat during the night as well. Let me show you the temperatures. So current temperature sitting at 27 degrees in Windsor, 27 in Sarnia as well. These are some of the warmest places, but with this southwesterly wind, and this is what's pumping in some of the moisture that we're getting from basically the Gulf of Mexico, we're seeing humidex values in the mid-30s. So that's kind of what we've been looking at today. It has come with a lot of sunshine as well. As we head through tonight, it's going to remain quite mild. Temperatures around that 20 mark for most of southwestern Ontario. Humidex values through the overnight, even around the mid-20s. So we've got a special weather statement in effect here around the Windsor area. A little bit of high cloud cover rolling through. It's part of a larger system. This is going to change the weather, though. That's a cold front that's going to sweep through. There are severe thunderstorm watches and warnings well to northern Ontario, but we will see some of that thunderstorm activity down in southwestern Ontario as well. It looks like this. The front starts to slide down through tonight. I think tomorrow morning, likely even early morning, because the models are sort of pushing the timing up of this. Showers and thunderstorms. And again, we've got a lot of humidity, so any rain that we see will very likely come as thunderstorms, potentially heavy at times. And then it sort of seems to clear out, bit of sunshine there. And then again, the risk later in the day for some more thunderstorm activity. Remember, with heat and humidity, that's kind of like the fuel for these thunderstorms. Then we need a trigger, which is this front, to sort of kick them off. A few lingering showers into Sunday morning, and then by Sunday afternoon, it looks like might even see some sunshine in there as well. So another day of hot temperatures for tomorrow before things start to cool down behind the front. Tonight, 21 degrees, again, especially through the very late overnight period, the risk of thunderstorms. Humidex values through the overnight, still in the mid-20s. Tomorrow, 28 degrees. Humidex values, though, taking us into the low to mid-30s. Rain showers kind of clear out on Sunday, so not a wash here for May 2-4. I mean, we've seen some pretty bad May 2-4 weekends when it comes to weather. This one's not bad, but you will see sort of on and off showers. Monday's actually not looking too bad. 18 in sunshine. That's a good day for a run.
Not too bad. Thanks for that, Nick.
You bet.
When we come back, we're going to go to the UK and take a look at how folks are raising awareness about the plight of the bees. Stay with us. Welcome back. In international news, the group of 7 countries has agreed to provide more money to bolster Ukraine's finances, nearly $20 billion. The pledge is designed to ensure Ukraine's economy can withstand the Russian invasion. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who's in Germany for G7 talks, also announced a separate $250 million loan from Canada that comes on top of military and weapons support. A small town in the UK features a big reminder about the importance of bumblebees in hopes of raising awareness about their plight. This massive mural is creating a huge buzz in Hebden Bridge, England, about an hour north of Manchester. It was painted on the soccer field of a primary school to coincide with World Bee Day. Parents of a student created it to spread the word about the drastic decline of bumblebees across Europe and North America. It's believed bee populations are coming under threat from heavy pesticide use, loss of habitat, and climate change. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful weekend.